Hey you guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Deborah Alicia. If you're new here, welcome. And if you're returning, thanks for the love. Um, this video is going to be on a oracle reading pertaining to you being a high priestess, dear. Yeah. So I have a few notes here, so I'm going to read from that and then expound as I need to. But yeah, so surprising surprises, sorry, can be fleeting, right? Since it is fleeting, you want it to stay. That's the fear. The reason why the spirit was bringing this to my attention was because the context in which this was being said was in waiting someone waiting to be surprised, right? As to anticipate a good thing happening and kind of like holding out until that thing manifests, right? And so, what I was understanding here is that this type of attitude, if you will, it can be fleeting because there's no guarantee that what shows up is going to be what you anticipated. So why not already be in the energy, or why not be already in the feeling that you wish to feel, regardless of if this person, place, or thing shows up, right? Um, and that's a problem because it can be a distraction. It can be a distraction because you'll miss out on the opportunity to be present in hopes of something taking place in the future, if that makes any sense, right? And when we do that, that can become a distraction, if you will, because you'll miss the opportunity to face those certain parts of yourself, those darker parts of yourself, if you will. Like in this case, recognizing that you're holding out for something better, in a sense that you think you can't have the feeling now. You think you can't be in that feeling of satisfaction right now, that the satisfaction ain't gonna come until this particular thing happens in my life, right? Whatever that is. Yeah. However, here's where we go into the soulmate, right? And so with this reading, I was picking up on an energy where, if this resonates with you, the soulmate will be entering into your life, right? And this soulmate will be assisting you with your gifts. This is not something I felt like with my last video, like it's almost like sometimes you can hear other people's thoughts. If you're a seer, you know what I'm talking about. And you can kind of anticipate people's response. And I know some people may think that, when we're talking about somebody coming in to assist you, as if this is something that they don't want to do and they're being forced to do this. No, this soulmate, like I said before, sees you, sees the true you. And so it might feel odd because typically with the chosen, you've been in a lifestyle at some point in time where you were pouring energy into people that didn't pour back into you, right? So it's kind of odd, right, to think that somebody actually wants to be there for you because they want to be there for you. They're not losing out on anything. They're not setting aside their desires to put yours before that. It's nothing like that. This is a compatibility. You understand what I'm saying? And it's romantic. I want to clear that up because I know soulmates don't have to just do with romantic partnerships. So right here, I'm letting you know, if this resonates with you, you will have a romantic partner come in who will be glad, happy to see you thrive in your gifts. Yeah. And assist you with that. It will not take away from him, sis. Yeah. I'm talking to a divine feminine. Yeah. Yeah. And then going into that, your purpose is high, meaning divinely guided, right? You embody high priest energy. What is that? What is high priest energy? What is that, Deborah? Yeah. Well, my understanding, what my spirit team has shown me and broken down to me is that you have your priest and then you have high priest, right? The high denotes ascension, right? A higher level of consciousness. Yeah. And consciousness meaning that you are aware of yourself. Yeah. For it is this knowledge of self that allows one to be. Mm-hmm. And in that being, a power is expressed, giving evidence to one's beingness, right? Really simple, right? Giving expression to one's liberation, right? It's not ceremonial. I'm gonna let that marinate. It's not ceremonial. This is what I'm picking up on, right? It's an embodiment. Okay? It's an embodiment. It's a part of you. It's in you. It's through you. Yeah, this is not something you just put on. You go to a closet, you put it on, you take it off, and you become somebody else after the fact. This is a lifestyle. It's ceremonial to those on the outside looking in because their mind, when looking at you or viewing you and observing you and watching you, their mind is compartmentalizing your movement, right? And in doing so, they don't really capture the essence. Hmm. For the essence is only experienced in the embodiment. That is like so clear to my mind. Like that right there is like spirit dropped the bomb, like boom, like there you go. So clear, so simple, straight to the point, right? I love it. I really do. Yeah. The essence can only be experienced in the embodiment. So when you have somebody on the outside looking in who can't relate, the reason why they can't relate is because that's not something they're personally embodying. So they're left to try to, like I said, their mind is trying to compartmentalize your movement, trying to put it together. How do you do this? This is why a lot of you see when it comes to capitalism here in America, a lot of times you'll see that there are those who have a better skill, if you will, in marketing that. They have no idea. You look at some people who are surrounded with a team, sometimes that team don't really understand what it is that this person is embodying, but they have the mind to compartmentalize all the movements and how to put that out there for profit. Yeah. So you embody high priest energy, sis, because liberation is your reality. Hmm. Yeah. Divinely speaking, of course. We're talking about this highest form of creation. Hmm. So, in this highest form of creativity, your energy transforms environments. The earth is your sanctuary, it is your sanctimonium. And when we say sanctimonium, because I had to look this word up, right? We're basing the meaning on the obsolete meaning, that which pertains to holiness and sacredness, right? We're not talking about a hypocritical show of religious devotion and piety and righteousness, right? Hence why we said this ain't ceremonial. Yeah. You'll find a lot of pageantry and showmanship when it's pertaining to this new found meaning of sanctimonium, which is a hypocrisy. Hmm. Yeah. So the earth is your sanctuary. Yeah. And because your energy, because you embody this liberation. So in being liberated, the divine finds you to be a conduit, you see? And your energy, your very presence makes the earth holy. It makes it sacred. This is why there is so much information being poured out at this time by the chosen, speaking to how important you are to this planet. Your light, yeah, changes things. It shifts, it moves, it inspires, it destroys, it tears down, it builds up. It's ushering in divine order. Yeah. So it's not a crime to say that the earth is our sanctuary, because we're speaking to this law of correspondence where we're expressing not only that which is within, but that which is without, you know? Um, yeah. So this is what we see, right? This is what we see in the hypocritical, like religious sanctimonium, yeah, priesthood, right? They conduct a lot of religious ceremonies in an attempt to call the presence of God to occupy a temple, right? However, there is no place that the divine cannot be. It is our consciousness of that makes it a reality, because we embody awareness. Hence why we are free to be ourselves. Sin was truly going against our original nature, which is divine. Yeah, it's natural. Because of this awareness, you will experience trials by way of those who are unaware, because they are imprisoned in their mind. And in opposition, their energy makes the earth a prison, being unholy and unsacred. You understand? So you go, how can these two coexist? Well, our perception is our reality, is it not? And I've heard other chosen ones speak very well of the tipping point that needs to take place with us in order to make this righteous effect, if you will, for the better. Yeah. It don't take as much as us. It doesn't take as much as us. Am I saying this right? it don't take as much of us as it would do with them because we're working with divine power. It's kind of like how you see in the Matrix how all these ops had to come from one person because Neo, being that one person, was operating in an energy that was far superior than these many that came against him. This is not a matter of if. If it's gonna happen. Yeah, yeah. So although you may experience these trials because others are, you know, operating in an energy that is a counter to what is happening with us. Um, like I said before, it's not a matter of if. Your your experience with the divine will be resilient. You can bet on that. That's gonna happen. Yeah. Um, you know that these build a momentum with running away from themselves, right? And when you do that, you miss out on the opportunity to learn thyself, to know thyself, to understand what your purpose is. And yeah, just the contribution you bring. Like I said, by your very presence, by your very presence. Yeah, you matter. You're here. Literally, you mattered. Yeah. So while our awareness, right, and knowledge of self continues to grow deeper, affecting the divine change from the inside out, showing the powerful being that we are, yeah, embrace loving yourself, High Priestess. Embrace loving yourself, for there is no self mastery without doing so. There is none. Yeah. This power that you embody grips those who pretend they are consumed. Yeah. Yeah, this power that you embody grips those who pretend because they are consumed with emulation. They're consumed with ceremonial rites, passages. Yeah. Not saying that you can't do these things. You can do them, obviously, because they're getting done. It's just my spirit team is helping me to see how basic the understanding is when it comes to this mirror effect, if you will. Inside out, inside out, inside out, inside out. It kind of reminds me of how discernment is necessary because two things, let's just say, for example, two things on the outside look the same. So you need discernment because you don't really understand what the underlying intention is with this person versus that person, but they're doing the same thing. So this is why I said ceremonies, that's not a problem. It's the ceremony that's absent of the essence. That's the problem. That's a problem because now you have others looking at this as if they can bypass the inner work that may inspire the creativity to come up with a ceremonial rite in remembrance of you, in remembrance of the divine, in remembrance of who you truly are, to stay inspired, to remain creative, to keep a momentum going because we know source is infinite. So there's always room for growth. There's always room for elevation. There's always room to share more. There is no scarcity here. Yeah. So this power that you embody, sis, grips those who pretend. They are consumed with emulation. Excuse me. My thing timed out. They're consumed with emulation, becoming a fan. Yeah, we have a lot of that. This is why a lot of people complain about celebrities. This is about why a lot of them, when they hear about a negative thing happening with celebrity, everybody comes out of the woodwork to talk about it, because deep down inside, from the outside looking in, looking at all the accolades that this celebrity received, a lot of them are saying, hey, see, hey, they're capable of making mistakes. They're imperfect. Why are you bowing down and worshiping them? Why are you pouring yourself into them? And these people like this were called haters. Wrongfully so. There's nothing wrong with someone saying, hey, nothing wrong with admiring somebody's talent. That's admiring the divine. That comes from the divine. Creativity, gifts, talents. These come from the divine. What we're saying here, that you should never be so encompassed with what somebody else is doing that it takes you from your assignment, why you are here. That's what we're saying. But that hater campaign that was very, yeah, misinformed, that's not what we're talking about. When we talk about hate, that's not what we talking about. We ain't talking about somebody not acknowledging our gifts and our talents. We're talking about them being upset with our growth, with our spiritual growth, with us changing for the better, with us becoming a better version of ourselves. We ain't talking about somebody being jealous of us because we got a luxury car and they got a Pinto, or we got a mansion or three or four or five houses and they got a trailer park. That's not what we talking about when we talking about haters. Even if you are in that position, right, where you do have a luxurious life, if you will, as I spoke in my last video. Yeah, you can check it out. Yeah, that one is entitled You Are Victorious Because of Your Discernment. Yeah. So you might have this, right? But a lot of times, like I said, discernment. You can have two people. You have people out here who have things, and you have another person who has just as much. But what's the differentiating factors with these two? What was the means to that end? Inquiring minds want to know, right? Yeah, that is often a question of the mind when somebody is faced with someone who is very, very wealthy on this physical plane. What was the means to the end? Show me how you did it. Yeah, what did you do? Teach me. Yeah. One person will possibly say, hey, I did da 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 da, and this is what I did. The chosen say, that was a consequence. That was a consequence of my spiritual growth. That was never the focus. Give me a second. I find that with those who are in a momentum of emulation, they'll they'll downplay your awareness, right? Because as I brought out in my last video, they they don't have the discernment like you do, but they can feel the effects of your energy. They can feel that. They just can't put their finger on it because there's no relatability, right? So there's no relatability because there's no embodiment. And when there's no embodiment, the essence, where's the essence at? Right? So what you'll find is that sometimes folks will listen to you and they will downplay you, yeah, in resistance a little bit, being unfamiliar with what you're talking about, and then will secretly covet that for profit. Yeah, that's what spirit said. Yeah, not because they understand your means to empowerment, right? They don't understand that, you know? They don't understand the means to your end. They don't understand, and it's not even your end because we know, like I said, infinite intelligence. You're tapped into an infinite source. Yeah, so there's no end, if you will. Like, you know what I mean? But you know what I'm trying to say here when I use that saying, they don't want to know your means to your end if it has to do with them dealing with self. If it has to do with blaming other people for their issues, projecting their problems onto other folks, distracting themselves from, those dark places that they need to deal with within themselves, gone. Yeah. So, yeah, be encouraged, sis. Yeah. You are a high priestess, and this should only serve as confirmation, not validation. And when I say that, is because you resonate with something that you already know is going on inside of you already. Yeah, this is what it's all about, right? A sharing, yeah, to encourage one another to keep on the path that we are currently on, and to understand you are not alone. Yeah, I know you know this. Yeah, I don't need to say this in order for you to understand it. I know you know this. But yeah, considering we are truly helpers one to another, because I'm going to mirror back to you who you truly are. And there's a relatability there because you're already doing this work. So, with that being said, I'm going to end it there. Thank you for tuning in. And until next time, peace.